Okay, evening everyone. I just want to mention, so this coming Sunday night, normally we have the weekly Zoom Chizuk meeting that won't be taking place this coming Sunday, but there is at 6 o'clock on Sunday evening, there's the Acheinu World Siyum. There's details in the newsletter, but essentially it's a new movement that's come together to bring about Achdut in the Jewish, or Achdus in the Jewish people, and they're doing a worldwide Siyum. Many different Rabbanim and speakers from around the world will be there. So that's at 6 o'clock on Sunday evening. That will be in place of our weekly Zoom, and next week we'll do their own thing again. Okay, so we started looking at Mizmor Pei Gimel yesterday, the Shiur Mizmor La'asaf, which, as we said, is very much clearly is the Mizmor dealing with war, dealing with Milchama, talking about who the enemies are and what they did, and when we learn what they did and why they come against us, we learn what we need to do in response as well. Not by coincidence, this is a Mizmor that is said in times of war. I was at Herzl today, I won the Levayot, and this is the Mizmor which is said at the Levayot as well. So we said Shiur Mizmor La'asaf, discussed yesterday in terms of maybe why it's called Shiur Mizmor. Won't go over that again, but that opening pasuk that it says Elohim al dom ilach al techelash v'al tishkot el. That's really the opening to this plea, the saying to three different expressions of this form of silence. We see, war breaks out and Hashem is silent. Hashem, get up and do something. Almost that's what the psalmist is expressing, is asking, is pleading. It brings to mind a Gemara in Masechet Yoma. The Gemara in Masechet Yoma, Daf Samach Tet Amud Bet, talks about why the Anshe Knesset HaGdolah, why were they called Anshe Knesset HaGdolah, the men of the Great Assembly? And the Gemara over there explains that we have the phrase, because they were called the Anshe Knesset HaGdolah, because they Ichziru Atara Liyoshna, they brought back this former glory. Why? Because in our tefillot we say Hakel HaGadol HaGibor VaHanora. We talk about Hashem. It says the Gemara. It says Ata Moshe Amar Hakel HaGadol HaGibor VaHanora. It refers to God as the great. English translations for these words are inadequate. But so it says Ata Yirmiyahu VaAmar Nochrim Makalkalim Beichalo Ayei Nolotav. Yirmiyahu came and said during the times of the Churban, the non-Jews have come and they're in the sanctuary. Where is he? How can we call him Nora, awesome or powerful? Where is that? So he took that away. Lo Amar Nora. Ata Daniel. Next comes Daniel. Amar Nochrim Mishtabdin Bevanav. The nations of the world are enslaving his children. Ayeh Gvurotav. Where is the Gvura? So he didn't say that. Lo Amar Gibor. Atu Inhu. Then came these, i.e. the men of the Great Assembly, and they restored it. They said, Adraba, Zoi Gvurat Gvurato, Shekoveshet Yitzro, Shnoten El Chapayim Al Shaim, Ve'elohim Norotav. Right? They said, this is the Gvura, this is the Noraot, in a sense, that he withholds that. That is in the time of Galut. That is in the time of Churban. So the Gemara there brings us, it says, and Anshe Knesset HaGdolah restored those titles, restored that in the Tefillah, but the question is still there. When Hashem is silent, as it were, we look at Yirmiyahu, Daniel, said, where's the Gvura, where's the Nora? So again, this Mizmor begins with that silence. And again, the Mizmor does not end. This is not a Kinah. This is not about the Churban, but it's time Milchama. And by the end, hopefully there's a victory as well, and the answer comes. So again, the first half talks about again what these enemies are doing. What is their plan? It says, Kinei oivecha yehemayun u'mesanecha nasulosh. We'll mention the Malbim in a few moments. We mentioned yesterday as well the idea here that it's oivecha, that's the enemies of Hashem. It's not our enemy; they're our enemies as well, but they're coming up against God. That is what brings them together. Mesanecha nasulosh, the ones who hate you lift up their heads. So that expression nasulosh is familiar to us, comes up many times in Chumash, right? Whenever we have the idea of the census, It's ki tisai rosh bnei Israel, to lift up their heads. That's what we mean to count. So it could be there are some Mefarshim who say that one of the reasons why we have the census is for military purposes, in order to check and see that everybody's in the army. That is one understanding, and that's one understanding here as well. Nasur Rosh is preparing themselves militarily. It could be just they have raised up their heads, they have raised up against you. But again, in the idea Nasur Rosh, that's what the enemies are doing against us. It's up to us, right? Lisar Rosh, to raise up our heads. When you count people, when you count the nation together, and you raise up the head of each and every individual, we've spoken about this in the past. Each and every individual becomes important, is significant as a contribution, as part of the entire nation. It's certainly something which is true in times of war as well. So he says, it continues, Alamcha yarim musod, against your nation they'll plot, v'yitya'atzu al tzefunecha. The word tzefunecha is related to tzafun, that which is hidden, maybe, or that which is protected. So again, it could be al tzefunecha means against your people, against us, those who are protected by Hashem. Could be referring to there are those who say it's referring specifically to the Mikdash, that is called that is which is hidden, that which is protected by God. So it refers to that. And again, it's al amcha, that against your people, but against the fact that they are your people, because we are Am Hashem. That is why they are fighting against us. And it says, what do? What is their strategy? Amru, they say, lechu v'nachidei migoy. Let us go and let us destroy them as a nation. Let us wipe them out from being a nation. V'lo yizacher shem Yisrael od. Wipe them out, that they won't be remembered. Their name will be eliminated from the world. That's what they try to do to us. Ki noatzu lev yachdav alecha brit yichot. It says because they came together, they all come together. Lev yachdav alecha brit yichrotu. They make a brit against you, against Hashem. They're fighting against us, but they're really fighting against God. So I just want to read the Malbim over here on this pasuk. The Malbim says like this. He says, "Ki." He says, "Be'er ha'ayal hazeh she'ikar bi'atam hu ala Elohut." Meaning, this is why they're coming against us. They're coming against God. Ki hinei hayu shamamim mefuradim. Again, this refers to any time. It's relevant now whenever we're at war, but it's referring to a specific historical event as well. And he says that you have all these different nations that are divided. If it wasn't for us, they'd be killing each other, right? But they're all split. They don't all have the same thing in mind. There are those who are encamped here on the borders, and there are those that are very far away. They're sitting in Yemen, right? יש זה מבואר כי השכנים לארץ שלוחמים ולוחים לעזרתם עמים רחוקים כי אם יש כל אחד יש לו תכלית מיוחד. So every nation that comes, that's part of this war, each one has something else that's in it for them. They all have different goals, different agendas. השכנים יילחמו מפני שיראיהם מהם. So those that are close, that are on the borders, might be afraid. או כדי לקחת גבול הארצם, or there might be a territorial dispute, they want the land. But if they're not on the borders, then that wouldn't apply. Maybe they just want to come in, those that are further away want wealth. But everybody comes together. With one heart and one mind, they all come. Says the Malbim, they all have one purpose. That is it. There's a brit, there's a covenant. They've all come together against you, against God. שתכלית בים כולם הוא עליך, שמקנאים על פרסום אלוהותך בעולם על ידי ישראל. They are jealous about the fact that the name of God is being publicized in the world through the Jewish people. You hear it? There's a battle. There are those Mefarshim who explain that again in ancient times, so it was their gods versus our gods, so to speak. They said, we're fighting for our God's honor versus your God. But even today, you look at what's going on. What are the words that they say? What are the things that they say as they walk into battle? They say in the name of God, supposedly. They can't stand, they can't bear that we are the ones who represent the name of God. If they want it, they want it. That's what they want. So that's what the Malbim says, and they all come together for that purpose. וזה תכלית המיוחד לכולם. And that's what everybody has in common here. So then the Mizmor goes on and it tells us who are the people that are fighting against us. Again, 11 different nations which are mentioned here. Again, the Mefarshim discuss historically exactly who and what and where each one's referring to. But the point is, it's from all sides. You've got from the north, you've got from the south, you've got from the east, you've got from everywhere. So he says, Ohalei Edom v'Ishmaelim, Moav v'Aglim. Right, so Edom, also it says Ohalei Edom, meaning that there were intense. There were nations which were nomadic through the different places in the desert, but that's coming from descendants of Edom, from Ishmael, from Moav. Hagrim, by the way, is related to Hagar. These are the descendants of Hagar, those nations. Gval v'Amon v'Amalek, Pleshet im Yoshvei Tzur. Again, you see the contrast. Again, Pleshet, which is down in the southwest, Tzur going up in the north. From all sides, they come and they attack. Gam Ashur nilva imam hayuzua livnei lot tzelem. And also Ashur comes along. Why does it say Gam Ashur? So again, the Malbim here explains that Ashur, they're not on the border; they're further away. But nonetheless, they come along and they join and they all attack. So that's the first half. That's the first half of the Mizmor, and that essentially goes through what is going on and what these nations are coming and why they are fighting against us. And that, of course, gives us the call to understand what we have to do to fight back. If they can all come and be united and come with one heart, clearly that's what we have to do. We have to be al shem, representing the name of God in the world. And then the second half of the Mizmor turns into a plea to Hashem, and here it refers to history as well. Essentially, three parts in terms of asking Hashem what He should do to the enemies. We ask for victory. We ask for the enemies to be vanquished. The first half goes back to the historical precedents in the days of Shoftim, many wars which were won by the Jewish people miraculously, and it represents some of those. Different places. It mentions the names of the Midianite leaders, Orev, Chizev, Zevach, V'Tzalmunah, all these princes and leaders who were killed and who were defeated. And then it goes on and talks about asking Hashem to defeat them with the wind, with the fire, with the storm, all these things. And at the end, again, going back, the ultimate aim, the ultimate goal of all of this, the final pasuk, V'yed'u ki ata shimcha Hashem levadecha elyon al kol ha'aretz. That's what this war is about. It's about understanding who is elyon al kol ha'aretz, who is Elokim. And it has associations here for us going back to Yetziat Mitzrayim, going back to Paro, where there as well, the whole thing begins, and Paro says at the beginning, Mi Hashem asher eshma b'kolo. I don't know who God is, but at the end, we understand all the makot and all the is Leman Yedu, in order that everybody should know and should recognize Hashem in the world. So that's essentially the message that comes out at the end here as well. Rabbi Chananya ben Akash Omer Tzakadosh Baruch Hu Zakot Yisrael Yifrach Ba'alem Torah Mitzvot Shnei Adonai Chafetz Zman Tzidko Yagdil Torah V'Yad. Amen.